The Oklahoma City Home and Garden Show is coming up this weekend, and keynote speaker Dee Nash is with us. Hi, Dee.
Hi.
And from Oklahoma. You're born and raised here.
Born and raised here, Oklahoma City.
You still live here, right?
I still live here, north of Edmond, between Edmond and Guthrie.
Okay, all right. Now, I think it's really cool that you're all about a lot of things, actually, but gardening is one of the main things.
Right, I love gardening.
All right, and when did you start that passion?
I probably started gardening with houseplants when I was 13 years old.
Okay.
And I also toddled behind my grandmother, which is why, I'm into this now.
Yeah, okay. And you found a secret to doing good gardening here in Oklahoma. Is there a trick to it as far as Oklahoma soil and...
I mean, the secret is be patient with yourself and, try to embrace imperfection because we have crazy climate being in the prairie, right? And we also have terrible soil. So you have to build up the soil and you have to make it good with compost and such.
And we have critters that like to eat things.
Yes, rabbits and
all kinds
raccoons.
of deer. They eat everything.
They do.
My poor nephew built this giant garden and had a brand new puppy and never thought for a minute that the puppy would just eat everything. So they wound up having to fence it and do all that. So, it's just things like that you don't anticipate. That
what about critters underground? Is that a problem too?
Yes, voles. Voles and moles are a terrible problem in Oklahoma. Okay. Voles eat vegetation. See, vegetation, voles, and moles eat meat. So, but they make tunnels, and that messes things up too.
Yeah. Everything starts sinking down into the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we got a bunch of those in our yard. And as far as growing anything, the red dirt just makes it really difficult.
Well, especially if you have red clay. I always tell people if you have red clay and you're in a hurry, build a raised bed. Mm-hmm. Or do a berm in your yard if you're going to do flowers. Berm up the soil. But if you have sandy soil, you can improve it pretty fast. But it takes about a good 2 seasons with compost to make a clay soil even work for you. And most people are in a hurry.
And you've done a lot of experimenting, I can tell, over the years, right?
Yeah, I have. I've done a bunch.
Well, I have a question. If you really want to garden and you're thinking, I want flowers, I want vegetables, where do you start? Do you start with flowers? Do you start with vegetables? Do you start with...
Most people start with vegetables because most people who want to grow vegetables are kind of foodies.
Right.
And so usually they start with veg. But here's the thing about a vegetable garden. You have to pick that stuff every day when it's in season. And so they're a lot of work. And actually, I think vegetables are a little harder than flowers. But I think you should just start small. Start small. Because if you do something big, when I first started, I started very small. But if you do big, then you've got to keep up with all that.
It's overwhelming.
Hard.
It really is. It's overwhelming, and it can get out of hand real quick. Would you suggest container gardening for somebody who's got a small area?
Yes. In my book that I wrote, the 20-30-something Garden Guide, that's where I started. I started with containers, and you can do them on a balcony, a patio, or a deck. And then raised beds are just large containers. They're 4x8, 4x4. So you just start small and work your way up. You can always plow the back 40 later.
Yeah, we tried that. Let's just do a half acre, and that just went south fast.
I can't imagine.
Well, we thought because Dad did it, and there, of course, our soil is very different in Northeast Oklahoma versus here too. So
and more rainfall. They have a lot more rainfall than we have.
Well, and my grandfather was in Ohio, and he had a 12x12 garden, and his big thing was rhubarb.
Oh, yeah, because rhubarb grows great in Ohio. Not so well here.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the things that's hard here is rhubarb. Sorry.
Well,
I hope you didn't love rhubarb.
It's been years since I've had it, but rhubarb pie was always a favorite of mine.
Yeah, I bet. Rhubarb and strawberries sometimes people put together, right?
Yeah.
Well, I see where you're a beekeeper, too.
I am a beekeeper, but I'm a novice at beekeeping. This will be my 3rd year, but I've kept them all alive. And I've made more colonies. Well, okay, maybe not all of them alive. Okay,
so you put little tags like you do on your cattle.
I wish it were that easy. No, the good news is I've kept all of my colonies going. So,
gotcha.
So we still have a queen in each colony, and I went from 1 to 3.
Oh wow!
And so probably this year I'll go to 5. I didn't understand that they just keep multiplying. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So do you mix the bees and your flowers? I mean, that whole thing, is that how the beekeeping started?
Well, I already had a garden, and I always wanted to be a beekeeper, and a friend of mine became my mentor, and so after about 30 years, I tried to do it, and I did it.
It kind of clicks for you.
Yeah, it works, but now I've planted a meadow in my upper pasture all from seed, and because bees, honeybees, are short-tongued bees, and most of my garden was made for butterflies, which have long tongues. So I didn't have enough forage for my bees, so I planted the whole upper, I'd say it's about half an acre, and I planted it in wildflower seeds. So that's going to be exciting this
that'd
year.
be fun.
Something new.
And you mentioned the butterflies, the monarch butterflies. What are you doing for the monarchs?
Well, I actually raise monarchs, but I don't suggest that for everybody because it's time consuming and it's a real commitment. But I think you should plant plenty of milkweed for monarchs. I think that would be a great way to help them. And, their numbers are back up. I mean, we've had 2 solid years of increasing numbers of monarchs. They're still in danger, but what people don't realize is other butterflies are endangered too. So the monarch is kind of the poster child for butterflies because it's our American butterfly that we love so much, and we're in the migratory pathway. Oklahoma is very important to many butterflies, bees, and hoverflies, and also birds. So.
Wow. Cool. Now, you're going to be at the Oklahoma City Home and Garden Show. You're giving some presentations. When are those going to happen?
So I do 2 on Friday at 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., and then on Saturday and Sunday, noon and 3 on both of those days.
And are you covering what topics in those?
I'm doing one on attracting butterflies, bees, and birds to your garden, and then I'm also doing one on tropical houseplants, and I'm doing one on how to make a grocery store bouquet or what to grow in a cutting garden for a bouquet. And then I have one just on gardening in Oklahoma called lemonade gardening, making lemonade out of lemons.
Oh, that's awesome. So whatever your subject is, I mean, I need to come every day.
Yeah.
Because, there's something there for everybody in your basic gardening that's pretty cool.
So
I'd love to make my own
people can get
gardens.
more information from you. You've got your podcast, right? Or your
Right. I have the
blog.
Garden Angelist podcast that I do with my friend from Indiana, but I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and I have a garden blog.
Okay.
And I write a gardening art. I write articles.
Do you give
I'm busy.
tours through your whole
I do. I
plantation?
open the garden like one weekend out of the year.
You do?
Try to
Wow.
make it look nice for everybody.
With all your speaking engagements and stuff like that, how do you find time to garden?
Well, that's what I just talked to my husband about on the way over here. I said, after this is finished this weekend, I can go out and start cutting things down, and I'm pretty excited about that.
That's good.
Yeah,
Just go chop
I'm
things
starting
up.
to get the bug. You know?
That's really good. Well, it's a great opportunity to meet you, Dee, out at the Oklahoma City Home and Garden Show this weekend. People can come with their questions and ask you some things there?
Absolutely. We're going to in each talk, we're going to open up with questions. And a couple of the talks are demonstration talks, and people can ask me questions all through them.
Okay, very good. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you out there this
Thank
weekend.
you, guys.
All right, for anybody who doesn't have tickets yet, go to komaradio.com, click on the Home and Garden Show link, and get some discount tickets.
Very good. Dee Nash, thank you so much for coming into the KOMA this morning.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you.